Hello friends and welcome to Out of Pocket. My name is Ryan, aka Ron, and today we have another tasty tier list.
Tasty tiers,
Today we're going to look at and rank basic EX Pokemon, so let's get right into it. Please forgive my voice, I'm a tad bit sick. Alright, so let's jump right into this thing. We've got 33, count them, 33 basic EX Pokemon with no evolution, obviously because they're basic EX. And we're going to plan to rank all of them. Now, let's drop the tier lists. So this is a basic tier list, so we wanted to do some puns on the word basic, like most basic, least basic. So we're going to start with the least basic thing that I think you can be, and the top tier is bougie. Bougie is our S tier. Bougie is the opposite of basic. That's what I got. Now that may be totally off, but that's what we're going with. All right, let's move on to the A tier. So for the A tier, we have very demure, very mindful. If you know, you know. Let's move on to B tier. All right, B tier, drum roll please. B tier is Applebee's on a date night. That's about the middle of the road basic. All right, now we're getting into even more basic. Let's look at our C tier. Dinner and a movie. But what could possibly be more basic than dinner and a movie, you ask? Well, let me tell you. Last but not least, our D tier is a PSL at the Starbucks in Target. It does not get more basic than that. But we're actually not done yet, because like the last tier list, I've got a blank tier before the last one because I think there needs to be a gap. And then our last tier is going to be called, well, before I say that, let me say it's not really about basic. It's just a different category altogether, and it belongs at the bottom. So our last tier is the needs a friend tier. This is a tier, they need a friend. Let's get to ranking. But first, again, sorry, before I rank, if you watched my math video last week, this is all going to kind of follow that. If you want to watch an hour-long video about math so you know what the tier list is going to be, then feel free to watch that video. I am factoring in the tweaks that I made in my little future snippets though in this tier list. All right, let's get into it. Sorry, one more qualification. I don't know why the order of these Pokemon is the way it is, but I did it on Limitless and I did it by set and number, and this is the inverse of that because it did backwards. Regardless, I don't know why they're in this order. This is just the order they're in, so we're going to bounce around a little bit, but let's actually get into it. All right, first we got Ultra Necrozma. Now, Ultra Necrozma is not a good Pokemon. It has some cool things about it, but overall it's just not good. They're just not good dragon Pokemon mostly, period, except maybe Dragonite. Ultra Necrozma goes in the PSL at Starbucks tier. It's D tier. It's not very good. I don't have a lot more to say about it. It's just way too expensive, 2 energy. It's not good. All right, moving on. Rayquaza. We're starting with the promos, so you know we're starting strong. All right, Rayquaza is also in the PSL at Starbucks tier in Target. D tier. Rayquaza, not good either. Obviously, you can build some stuff with it and, you know, Ho-Oh or whatever. If you get 4 energy and you're hitting for a lot, it's not bad, but you might as well play Dragonite or One Trio or something. It's not that good. All right, moving on to 2 more promos. We got Cresselia. A lot of you probably don't even know this card exists or know what it does, but again, I would refer you to my math video for that. I'm actually going to put this again mathematically in the Applebee's on a date night tier, the B tier, because it's actually not bad. Actually, I do need to clarify before I move on. Sorry. What am I ranking? How am I ranking these Pokemon? Am I ranking them on Dex, Synergy, time in the meta? What am I ranking them on? I'm ranking them on their own merit. So I'm not worried about support cards surrounding them. I'm not worried about Pokemon that surround them. I'm only considering the Pokemon for their own merit, which is why the needs a friend tier might make sense in a minute. But if you watched my math video last week, or if you care to, or to skim it, this is coming largely from that. Basically, I'm just saying numerically which of these Pokemon are the best in their own merit. So if I put something lower, higher than you thought, and you're like, why is it in that tier? Well, because I'm just ranking it off its own math, off its own merit. I'm not ranking off of where it is in the meta. I'm not ranking off of how good it is with Cyrus or with Greninja or whatever. I'm just ranking it by itself. So let me get that out of the way. All right, moving on to Lapras. All right, Lapras, we're also putting the last promo in the Applebee's on a date night tier, right under Cresselia. So again, Lapras, people don't play it. People probably don't even know what it does. It's not that good, but it's not that bad. It's Applebee's on a date night. All right, moving on. We got some fun ones now. We're going into the hot stuff early. So we got Mr. Raikou here. I truly don't understand understand the order that Limitless put these cards in because they're mostly by set, but then these ones are up top. Anyway, Raikou is going to be in the very demure, very mindful tier, the A tier. Raikou's good. It's got its legendary pulse ability, which is a lot of why it's here. It's got 60, it hits the bench. Obviously, it's good with Cyrus, which again is not factoring into this, but by itself, it's pretty darn good. It's mostly because of legendary pulse, so you can probably guess where the next two dogs are going to go. All right, Suicune, everyone's favorite, and I will say, along with what sounds like some other people, I think the problem with Suicune is not really Suicune, it's more Greninja and Suicune combined plus Cyrus, Irida, whatever. But Suicune we're evaluating on its own merit. So Suicune I am, of course, gonna put mathematically, tier list wise, in the bougie tier, S tier. Suicune is bougie as far as this video is concerned. Now Suicune is obviously an S tier because it's just strong. So it's got legendary pulse like Raikou, but unlike Raikou, I would say Suicune's ability can go a lot higher, and it has 10 more health. So if you recall from the math video, for the two people that watched it, I'm averaging Suicune's attack at 70, which is also the amount of damage that Raikou can do, but it also has 10 more HP, and I think 70 could be a low on average way to rate its attack. So I'm gonna put it in the bougie tier. It's definitely one of the strongest basic Pokemon in the game. All right, Entei, moving on, another legendary dog we are gonna put in very demure, very mindful. I'm gonna put it ahead of Raikou. The reason is mostly because it has two attack abilities. Now, if you recall the math video, I put in a little snippet at the end that basically I'm adding points for having the ability to attack in two different ways. And I'm considering that Entei can attack for 2 energy for 60 and 4 energy for 120, I believe. And so because it has those two options, and because it can just end games if it actually gets to 4 energy, I think that makes it a little stronger than Raikou, independent of other cards. Now, if you add in Cyrus and stuff, and Electrical Cord and Oricorio, obviously Raikou's got great support, but if you just value independently, I'm gonna value Entei slightly higher than Raikou, so that's what we got. All right, moving on, we got Arceus. Arceus is just good, all right? Arceus is going right here. Very demure, very mindful, very good. Arceus is very solid. It's colorless. Obviously, I'm not really doing anything with that merit-wise on this tier list. If you look at my math video, I'm not doing a ton. In fact, I'm giving negative points for being colorless because they have no strength to attack into anything. But the fact that you can slot in Arceus realistically in any deck is pretty strong, especially with all the synergy cards that they built around it in Triumphant Light. So Arceus is going here, bottom of the very demure, very mindful A tier. It's super good. It can attack for a lot. If it's got a full bench, it's one of the strongest Pokemon in the game, as long as you can get the energy on it. Its ability to not be affected by special conditions is probably a little bit underrated. It's not amazing, but it's not bad either. So Arceus, A tier. All right, my favorite, Lugia. Now this is where we're going to explain the needs of friend tier. The reason I have a needs of friend tier is because Lugia, in my opinion, and probably in most people's, is literally the worst if it doesn't have a friend. So in this case, its friend is Ho-Oh, or baby Pokemon, but mostly Ho-Oh. If it has Ho-Oh, it's not bad. It's not bad. I think you could build a deck around it. If I were going to do it, it'd probably be something like 2 Ho-Oh, 2 Lugia, and then maybe I would experiment with a baby Pokemon or 2, maybe Kamala. I'm not really sure how I would finish it off, but Lugia is in the needs of friend tier because without Ho-Oh, without baby Pokemon, it's terrible. So there you go. All right, Snorlax, big Snorlax. So Snorlax was going to be in the dinner and a movie tier, but I was doing a little thinking midway through my math video, and I was like, you know what? I think it needs a boost. So I did a little thinking. I added something. I won't spoil it, but I'm going to put it in the Applebee's on a date night tier, and I'm going to put it currently at the top of the B tier. So Snorlax is not bad. It can go again in every deck. It's not great, but it's not bad. It's kind of tanky. It heals itself. Of course, it falls asleep, which is not, great, but it has the balance itself somehow, right? Because it'd be pretty darn strong if it didn't fall asleep. So there you go. Top Applebee's on date night. All right, Eevee. I'm gonna throw Eevee also in the needs a friend tier ahead of Lugia, because Lugia is terrible without a friend. So Eevee is by itself not good, right? 90-30 attack, 90 HP, 30 attack, not good, not good. The reason Eevee's so good is because A, it can evolve into anything that's Eevee related, and B, it means you can have 4 Eevees in the deck. So that's the reason why it's pretty good, but mathematically it's terrible. It just needs to evolve into something. So it's currently top of the needs a friend tier. All right, moving on, we got Dialga. Dialga is not too bad, so it's gonna go top of Applebee's on a date night. Dialga's been out a while. while, but it's not bad. Its first attack is actually super good. The fact that you can just put 2 energy, so I mean, say you're running Dialga and Snorlax here, you can just get Snorlax online basically without even doing anything. You can, especially if you go second, you put an energy, take a hit, put an energy, put 2 energy on Snorlax, and then another turn, put 2 energy on Snorlax. Even if you die, it's like you're coming in, you did 60 damage, you're coming in with a full Snorlax or whatever. Rayquaza if you're really feeling spicy, or some of those steel Pokemon that have 4 or 5 cost attacks, whatever. It's pretty good. So, top of Applebee's on a date night. All right, Skarmory. This one is going to be controversial probably, but again, if you want to watch my math video, that's where I got it. It's really not complicated. So Skarmory is going to the bougie tier, bottom of bougie tier, under Suicune. It's not better than Suicune, but Skarmory is really good. I mean, even just compared to Suicune, right? They have the same HP. If you average Suicune's attack to 70, which is somewhat reasonable, they have the same attack, they have the same retreat cost, and then the only difference is at the end of turn, Suicune draws a card, and Skarmory takes minus 20 from attacks. So I'm valuing those mathematically pretty similar. In fact, about the same exactly. So I would say Skarmory is really good, especially if you add in Jasmine and its little metal cape tool thing or whatever, and just the stuff that has. I would say Skarmory is pretty good. If I were going to build a Skarmory deck, honestly, I would go Skarmory EX and Skarmory base, and I would add in a few tools, and I would just go like 16 supporter trainer cards, and I would start from there and see how it feels. I know people have done similar to that, but I think that deck's probably not bad. You could add in something a little tankier if you wanted to try to hit harder, but I think Skarmory is pretty darn good. Definitely underrated. All right, moving on to Guzzlord. Guzzlord needs a friend because Guzzlord kind of needs Celesteela. Now, Guzzlord doesn't need Celesteela. Of all the Pokemon I'm planning to put in this tier, I would say Guzzlord is probably the best standalone, but Guzzlord is not that good without Celesteela, but it's pretty darn good with Celesteela. So I would say Guzzlord kind of needs Celesteela to be relevant, but you can sort of make it work in like a Crobat deck or Darkrai or whatever. You can kind of make it work. It's just, it kind of needs Celesteela. All right, my friend Darkrai. We got Darkrai's in neat. You know where this is going. It's going to Bougie. Now I debated if it should go in front of Suicune or behind Suicune. I think I'm going to put it behind Suicune, and the reason is because the way I'm evaluating Suicune could be low mathematically, because Suicune's attack can go really high, and I could be undervaluing it. So I'm going to put Darkrai behind Suicune. You can probably put Suicune in less decks than Darkrai. Darkrai's a little more flexible, but it still kind of falls within a certain archetype, and obviously you have to get 2 dark energy on it. So I'm going to put it behind. I do think it's very good, but I would say Suicune is slightly better, but not by much. All right, moving on to Passimian. This one also might be controversial, but again, go watch the math video or go to Passimian. It's a long video. It is intense. You could just scroll to Passimian if you want to. I put tags for all the Pokemon in it, so you can just look at them specifically if you want. It might make no sense though if you don't watch the beginning. But anyway, Passimian, I'm gonna put Applebee's on date night, tier B, right here. Nope, that's not right. Right here. I'm gonna put it right behind Snorlax. I won't go over it too much in detail. I think Passimian is decent. Of course, if you've already lost a point, it's not good because it just dies. But if you have lost 0 points, it's pretty darn good if you can attack with it. If say you're going second, this is probably ideal, but say you're going second, you go turn 2, 1 energy, turn 3, take a hit, turn 4, 2 energy, 60, turn 5, take a hit, whatever. You do probably 60 one more time and then you die, and then you pass 2 energy off to say Garchomp EX, and now boom, you're hitting for 100 without having to put any energy on the Garchomp, and you probably took down one of your opponent's Pokemon, or at least close. So I'm like, Passimian EX could be good. I'll say this, I said it in the math video too, but you put Passimian EX with one of the Mega Fightings, especially if it goes first and it can prepare the way, and this thing could be really good. Of course, it's very game dependent, it's very situational, but in the right circumstance, it's pretty darn strong. So this is where it goes. All right, Giratina, obviously terrible. Why? No, I'm just kidding. All right, Giratina is, I mean, It's just here. It's top of bougie. It's top of S. I think you could argue maybe Suicune or Darkrai better, but it generates its own energy. It's not really my play style, but it generates its own energy. It hits for a lot, especially with Darkrai, KOs most things. But by itself, it generates its own energy. It can generate turn 1. It's pretty darn strong. Again, look at the math video if you want thoughts on it, but it's probably fair to say that Giratina is, if not the best Pokemon in the game, one of the best and probably the best basic. All right, let's move on to Mew. I am tentatively valuing Mew right here in the B tier. Applebee's on a date night. I don't think Mew's that good, but if you recall from the math video, I'm gonna keep shouting it out. I valued its genome hacking ability on average at 100. Now, if I valued it at 90, I'd probably move it down to the dinner and the movie tier, but I'm saying on average it can attack for 100 with its ability. I don't know if that's accurate. Sometimes, like I said, it's going to suck. Sometimes it's going to be higher than that. It depends on the meta, really. If you're playing Darktina meta, it's really stinking good because you get 3 energies and you're attacking for, well, I take that back actually because Darkrai just be 80, but Giratina, you're attacking for 130. If it's a Charizard meta, you're attacking for 150. That's fantastic. But regardless, it's an interesting Pokemon. It's 3 colorless for genome hacking, so it's not bad. I don't like it. I'm not going to play it because it's too random, but it's interesting. It's interesting. Maybe one day it'll see a comeback. Maybe in the Mega meta, but probably not. All right, Mewtwo. I thought about just putting Mewtwo up here, but then I was like, you know what? I think Mewtwo goes in the needs a friend, and I'm going to put it right here behind Guzzlord. Mewtwo is not bad on its own, but the reason I'm doing this is because it's so much better with Gardevoir. With Gardevoir, it's still really good, honestly. The only problem is, you know, getting all the Gardevoirs online and whatever, and it's still 4 energy, but if you can get 2 Gardevoirs out, or even just 1 Gardevoir out in Mewtwo, it's still a semi-good deck. It's not as fast as Suicune and Greninja and whatever, right? It's fallen behind a little bit, but like, if you got it with Gardevoir, if you just do 2 Mewtwo and then the Gardevoir line with Rare Candy and supporters, I'm like, it's pretty good, honestly. But I'm putting it not on its own because I think it needs Gardevoir to really be relevant. Without Gardevoir, it's like, yeah, whatever, very mid. All right, Tapu Koko. I think Tapu Koko is good. I've gone back and forth on Tapu Koko. I've really liked Tapu Koko. Now I'm a little less high on it, but I think Tapu Koko belongs at the top of the B tier, at the top of the Applebee's tier. Tapu Koko is getting some onion rings at Applebee's. Do they even have onion rings? I don't know. Regardless, Tapu Koko is pretty good. I don't feel comfortable putting in the A tier. I don't think it's on level with those 2 dogs and with Arceus, but I do think Tapu Koko is solid. It's a really good option, especially with all the electric stuff floating around. I think it's good. So I feel good about this. All right, Pachirisu is actually not that bad, but it's not great. So we're gonna put it right above our friend Passimian here in the B tier. I think it's not bad. If you got a bunch of tools, it's actually pretty good. If you're hitting for 80 every turn, it's not too shabby. But if you don't have tools and you're hitting for 40, it's really bad. So you kind of would just want to build around tools with this, which of course is susceptible to Guzma, so it's not that great, but it's okay. You could definitely run it in a tool heavy deck, especially. All right, moving on to Zapdos. Zapdos is gonna fill up this big tier right here. We're gonna put up boom right here. Zapdos is tempting to me, but again, I don't like flipping coins. If I've said that, I don't like flipping coins. So yes, it can do up to 200. Yes, that's great. I like that it has a 1 cost attack. There's support for it, so you could justify it with all the electricity, lightning stuff in the meta these days. But I just don't like flipping coins. I like being consistent. I mean, you could run Will and guarantee 50, but it's okay. It's okay. I mean, people are running some Jolteon Eevee stuff, so, you know, if you like flipping 4 coins, Zapdos could be good, but it's okay. I think maybe Mew, I would prefer a little more, but not much. So that's where, and Snorlax is okay, but whatever. So sandwich there in the middle. All right, Pikachu Thunderbolt is going super basic. It's going dinner and a movie, man. It's going some classic watch a movie and then dinner and then good night and go to bed. It's not that good. Now, I know people are running it and I know it can close games. And my caveat in the math video was, I know that you could value this a little higher like Lugia, because it's a game closer. So it hits for 150. Dragonite EX comes to mind too. It hits for 150, so it can close games. So if you just value that it's like your finisher, your closer in baseball terms, then you could value it a little bit higher, right? It's got good support, but just valuing it by itself, I don't think it's good. It can kill one Pokemon and then it's toast, which if that's all you're going for, again, then great. But in a nutshell, and if you just value it mathematically that it's losing all that energy, I would say it's not good. So here it is in the C tier. All right, same thing with this Pikachu. I'm putting it above the Thunderbolt Pikachu, but still in the C tier. Now, let me again say this from the math video. I am valuing its attack on average as 60, meaning you have 2 bench. So in that case, it's very average. It belongs in the C tier. If it's average hitting for 60, you're probably better off playing Pachirisu. But if you can consistently have a full bench with this Pikachu, I would put it probably up to the A tier. In the very demure, very mindful tier, I would probably put it above the dogs, below Arceus, rather below the dogs, above Arceus, if you always have a full bench. But that's a big if. I mean, you could build around that if you want to, but you would have to full build around it. You'd probably have to go, 10 plus Pokemon. So you could do 2 Pikachu, 2 Zeraora, 2 Oricorio, 2 Raikou, 2 Pichu, whatever. I mean, you could eat whatever. You could do something like that. And if you did that, then I would say this is a lot higher, but you would really have to build around it. Otherwise, yeah. All right, Wishy-Washy. I know this has never been a real thing, but Wishy-Washy, I'm going to put right here. Applebee's on a date night. It's good. Honestly, like, of course it has 3 energy, and you have to have the cost of, it's a 1 archetype deck, right? You can basically play Wishy-Washy and Wishy-Washy. You can throw in some other stuff if you want to, but if you want it to be good, you just play 2 Wishy-Washy EX and 2 Wishy-Washy and pray that your little baby Wishy-Washies don't die. I guess you could throw in like Mantike or something if you really wanted to, and then you have Fisher's Net or Fishing Net. I never figured out what it was or whatever, but realistically, I gave the math. I'm like, it's 170 HP for a basic. That's tanky. I think that's the same as Guzzlord. And it can hit for a max of 150. Imagine you have a full bench at all times and it's 170 HP and 150, and you actually get to a point where you're having that much energy on it and you're hitting for it. That's insane for a basic. That's absurd. But obviously that's not going to happen because you're either not going to have a full bench or they're going to kill one of your bench or something. But regardless, even if you're averaging like somewhere between 70 and 110, which is 1 bench versus 2, that's still really solid, honestly. So I think Wishy-Washy is pretty good. It's just a 1 archetype deck, so it's here in the B tier. All right, Palkia, I'm putting also with its friend Dialga, but I'm gonna put it below Wishy-Washy. Take that. And the reason is because I don't like discarding energy. Palkia is good, but again, like Pikachu, it's kind of a finish the deck type of Pokemon. But what it has that Pikachu doesn't have is a 1-cost attack that hits for 30, which is actually really relevant, or at least fairly relevant. And on top of that, even though its big attack costs 1 more than Pikachu's big attack, it hits the bench also, and it hits, or never mind, it doesn't hit for more. It hits for the same as Pikachu's, but it hits the bench also, which is relevant. So it is 1 more energy, but it makes up for it with a 1-cost attack. I think Palkia is pretty good. It's not bad. It's Applebee's on a date night. All right, Articuno, old friend Articuno. So I originally had this lower, but then I did some thinking, and I think having 2 attacks makes it a little better. I applied that across the board, so I'm going to put it right here in this big B tier we got going on right there. I think Articuno's not bad. It's not that good. It's gotten passed over a little bit, but the fact that it has 2 attacks and then you get it out at the end and it's got 3 energy hitting for 80 and it's pinging your bench. If you run this thing with 2 Cyrus, honestly, you could run this thing with Greninja. It's obviously not as good as Suicune, but you could run this thing with the Greninja line, and maybe you would put in the middle evolution was a Frogadier along with Rare Candy, and then 2 Cyrus, and then you're just pinging the bench, and it's not bad. If I were building Articuno, I'll just say I would put 2 Articuno, 2 Froakie, 2 Frogadier, 2 Greninja. That's 8 Pokemon total. That's how I build decks. And then I would do 2 Pokeball, 2 Professors, 2 Cyrus, then some healing, and 2 rare candies, and that would be how I would build the deck. I think it would be decent. It wouldn't be amazing, but it'd be decent. All right, Ho-Oh. I think Ho-Oh is super good. I think it's very good. I'm gonna put it right here above Skarmory, under Darkrai. I think Ho-Oh is underrated. Of course, it takes a little bit to get that 3 energy online, but the fact that it can put 3 energy on the bench just for attacking is nuts. I know they're different, but if you're running this thing with anything colorless like Arceus or Snorlax or Lugia Lugia, of course. If you can find the right Ho-Oh build, and maybe they will one day, I don't know, I'm sure people have experimented with it, but if you can find the right Ho-Oh build, I think this thing is really good. So I think you can almost put it higher because it's 3 colorless energy, because you can throw it in a lot of different decks. So obviously you have to build around it because of the 3 different energy it produces, but I think Ho is very good. So I'm putting it in the bougie tier. All right, Moltres, I'll keep this short. Bad. Dinner in a movie. Get up here. There you go. Dinner in a movie. Not good. It can be really good if you flip 3 heads all the time, but usually you don't, and it attacks for 3 energy for 70. Not good. Now it does have 2 colorless energy there, but Moltres was good, and it's okay if you're running like Charizard EX, whatever, but it's not that good. I don't like it. I don't like flipping coins. It's not that strong. C tier. Dinner in a movie. Go home, be boring. I'm just harping on dinner in a movie. I've done it. It's actually a good time, you know, if you watch a good movie and have a good dinner. It's a good way to relationally connect with your significant other, or your wife in my case. So I recommend it. Not hating on it. All right, we got 4 more. We have Buzzwole. I'm gonna put Buzzwole right here in the need to friend tier. Obviously Celesteela like Guzzlord. The reason I'm putting it below Mewtwo and Eevee is because by itself it's not good. It's just not good by itself. Like, I don't think you would ever run Buzzwole without Celesteela. You can maybe run Guzzlord without Celesteela. I don't think you're running Buzzwole without Celesteela. It's just not good. Big beat. You would have to run 1 retreat partner Pokemon and be putting them in and then retreating and have Lyra or something. It's just, you would have to have a really weird build to make use of Big Beat, and it's only 120, so just play Dragonite. Buzzwole is very good with Celesteela. It's very solid. Of course, if I was rating this on merit as a deck, it would go a lot higher, but as it is, it's in the needs a friend tier. All right, 3 more. We got Delmise. I think that's how you say it. I'm gonna get flack for this one too, but boom, dinner in a movie. Just kidding. Applebee's on a date night. It's going at the bottom because I don't think it's that good, and I don't think Can't Retreat for the attacking Pokemon is that good of the defending Pokemon is that good of an ability, but I do think it's decent. I think this Pokemon's gotten crap before, but I think it's okay. It's basically the same math as Lapras and Cresselia. They're all kind of very similar. 3 cost attack for about 80 damage, or maybe all 80 damage, and they have different effects. So I think it's okay. I don't think you'd ever really run it because it's just really plain, you know, it's Applebee's on a date night, but I think it's not bad. So B tier. All right, Celebi is going to the, nope, it's going to the needs a friend tier right there. Celebi obviously needs Superior. It's not good without Superior. I would not play without Superior. I mean, you can, you know, go and see how good your coin flipping is if you want and run wills and stuff, but it's much better with Superior. Again, if I was building a Celebi deck, I have a very simple routine for my decks heuristic. I would do kind of like I said with Articuno, but I would do 2 Celebi and then 2 of each of the Superior line, and then, you know, some healing Erica and Pokeball and Professor and Rare Candy, and that's how I would build it. All right, last but not least, Shuckle is almost so good. It's going here. It's going right here. I've already determined all this. This is not on the fly. Shuckle's going right there under Palkia, ahead of Mew. I think it is not bad. Its ability is actually really underrated. I think the fact that it just takes a -20 period from attacks is pretty darn tanky, especially with Leaf Cape and Erica. But the fact that it flips coins, like if it just attacked for 30, it would have been pretty good. I probably would have run it if it just attacked for 30, or at least I would have been tempted, but it doesn't. It flips coins, so sometimes it's amazing, sometimes it's a meme, so it's just kind of a meme, but it's not bad. So I'm putting it in the B tier. I prefer it ahead of some other stuff, so I'm putting it in the B tier. Again, if you want more explanation on a lot of these, check out my math deck if you got an hour and 4 minutes, or just skim through it. It's made to be skimmed through also, but I would recommend watching the beginning. All right, friends, that's it. Thanks for watching. I tried to talk a little closer to the mic today, so ideally my voice will be a little bit clearer. Again, sorry, I'm sick. I'm sure it sounds a little off. I'm trying to get the microphone to pick up my voice better so that it doesn't sound like I have a lisp, which it has in the past. I promise I don't. No offense if you do. I'm not making fun. I just don't. So I don't really want the mic sounding like that. But anyway, thank you for watching. Next week, I'm excited. I'm planning to put out a set reaction for the new Mega Set. It's going to be fun. Ideally, you know, that's the plan. Very pumped for that. So if you want to stick around for that, I'm going to plan to do it the day it comes out, which should be October 30th. I've heard it's a 3-pack set. I'm recording this 6 days before it comes out, so there might be more information, maybe even a trailer by the time this drops. But regardless, I'm excited. So I'll plan to see you then. See ya.